You are muted. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Anand.
सर आवाज येत नाही. हॅलो हॅलो सर.
Oh,
हा सर आवाज येत नाही आनंद सरांचा.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
please everybody stay mute. Everybody stay mute. I'm muting all. Please everybody stay mute. ओके नमस्कार, मी आनंद गानू, फाउंडर प्रेसिडेंट गर्जे मराठी ग्लोबल. आपल्या सगळ्यांचं स्वागत करतो. गर्जे मराठी ग्लोबलची कल्पना संकल्पना आपल्या सगळ्यांना माहितीच आहे. आपण सगळ्यांनी एकत्र येऊन आपल्या मराठी समाजासाठी, आपल्या मुलांच्या फ्युचर पिढीसाठी, आपल्या देशासाठी काय करता येईल आणि काय करायचं यासाठी आपण एकत्र आलेलो आहोत. आणि गर्जे मराठीचं मेन प्रिन्सिपल असं आहे की आपण एज्युकेशन, एंटरप्रेनरशिप आणि प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्क असं आपण बनवायच्या प्रयत्नात आहोत आणि ते थोड्याफार प्रमाणात आपण यशस्वी झालेलो आहोत. गर्जे मराठीने जो लॉन्च केलेला आहे गर्जे मराठी इनोव्हेशन अकॅडमी, या प्रोग्रामच्या अंतर्गत आपण 20 लेक्चर्स वेबिनारची सिरीज ॲज अ प्रीकर्सर टू अवर ॲक्च्युअल इन्क्युबेशन आणि ॲक्सेलरेशन प्रोग्राम म्हणून घेतोय. त्या कडीमधला हा आजचा दुसरा प्रोग्राम आहे, इनोव्हेशन डिझाईन थिंकिंग बाय माधव दाबके. माधव दाबकेंची इंट्रोडक्शन करू. बिफोर दॅट आय वुड लाईक टू मेन्शन की गेल्या काही दिवसामध्ये सिन्स वी स्टार्टेड द प्रोग्राम वी आर कनेक्टेड टू 10 व्हेरी प्रेस्टिजियस युनिव्हर्सिटीज अँड कॉलेजेस इन महाराष्ट्र. टू नेम देम आय वुड से डॉक्टर आदरणीय बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर मराठवाडा युनिव्हर्सिटीशी आपण कनेक्ट झालेलो थ्रू सचिन, त्यांचे प्रोफेसर सचिन देशमुख यांच्यातर्फे. VNIT नागपूरचे PM पाडोळे च्या तर्फे आपण VNITशी कनेक्टेड झालेलो आहोत. रैसिना कॉलेज ऑफ इंजिनिअरिंग नागपूर इथनं डॉक्टर दिनेश पाडोळे आपल्याला मदत करतायत टू कनेक्ट विथ देअर युनिव्हर्सिटी अँड देअर स्टुडंट्स. KK वाघ जे इंजिनिअरिंग कॉलेज आहे नाशिकचं, त्या KK वाघ मध्ये प्रोफेसर चारुदत्त म्हसाडे यांनी इनिशिएटिव्ह घेतलाय टू कनेक्ट गर्जे मराठी इनोव्हेशन अकॅडमी विथ देअर स्टुडंट्स अँड फॅकल्टी. त्याचप्रमाणे आपल्याकडे डायरेक्टर यशवंत जोशी आहेत, HGGS नांदेड कॉलेजचे प्रिन्सिपॉल. ते आपल्याला त्यांच्याशी, त्यांच्या सगळ्या स्टुडंटशी, त्यांच्या फॅकल्टीशी कनेक्ट करून देत आहेत. अँड टू मेन्शन अदर्स, VCTI, UDCT, कॉलेज ऑफ इंजिनिअरिंग पुणे, भाऊ इन्स्टिट्यूट तर आपल्यातलीच आहे, भाऊ इन्स्टिट्यूट पुणे, आणि महाराष्ट्र एज्युकेशन सोसायटीचे कॉलेजेस आणि स्कूल्स थ्रू एअर मार्शल भूषण गोखले यांच्याशी आपण कनेक्ट झालेलो आहोत. सो आपला जो मेन हेतू आहे टू कनेक्ट विथ स्टुडंट्स इन महाराष्ट्र हा चांगल्या प्रमाणात यशस्वी होतोय. आजच्या प्रोग्रामची आता सूत्र मी अविनाश काळे आणि समीर पाध्ये यांच्या हातात देतो आहे. ओव्हर टू अविनाश काळे.
Thank you, Anandji.
Yeah.
You can hear me, I guess, right? Yeah. So this is Avinash Kale from Netherlands, and I have Samir from California. We are going to moderate this session for today. And prior to that, I would like to briefly introduce about Garje Marathi Innovation Academy and its focus and vision. The idea behind the initiative, or basically it is a non-profit initiative from Garje Marathi. We would like to help aspiring entrepreneurs and innovative startups through multiple ways. I think one of the way which we think can help startup and scale-ups are to provide them mentoring and coaching through our seasoned global mentor group across the globe, and also help them give the global exposure through Garje Marathi platform, so their scale up and their dream can be fulfilled. So we would like, as a first phase of the Garje Marathi Innovation Academy, this year we have started a webinar series which consists of 20 unique topics, and part of that is technology track, which covers all the frontier technologies which you might have seen on the website. And also we have the business track where we have a couple of interesting topics which we think would be a good way to at least get introduced to the topic itself and to the mentor of Garje Marathi. And once you are familiar with the mentor, of course, through Garje Marathi platform, we can help them or basically assign them to your startup, scale up, or your ideas. So you can deep dive on any specific thoughts, which can be useful to your own startup, right? This is the way we would like to help any startup or empower Maharashtrians to grow globally, right? And I would like to also announce that somewhere Q1 of next year, around, let's say, Gudi Padwa, we would like to also start the accelerator program for the startups, which is a structured program for the startup, which will be for 2.5 months or 3 months, where we will prepare them to pitch in front of the investors. And we do have in the back the investor network who would fund if the ideas are right and if they have a right value proposition to the market, right? And this is what we would like to see how Maharashtrians can grow globally. And this is how I would like to briefly conclude the introduction and hand over the moderation to Samir from California. And over to
Thank you,
Samir.
Avinash. Good morning from California, everybody. So for our second topic, we have chosen a very interesting topic. It's called design thinking. For any startup or for any new project, I think the first step is to identify what problems human beings are facing, whether it's in a particular vertical, whether it's in geography or in a particular business model. But once you define that, the next immediate thing is how do you design your solution? So design thinking becomes immediately very important in defining or making your project a very big success. Now, design thinking is not a virtual design or visual design. A design thinker may or may not be a visual design artist, but he's the one who knows how to design solutions that are needed for human beings, and that's the important part. Knowingly or unknowingly, all of us use it in some form or shape, but design thinking helps to structure it for a end success. And to tell all about that, today we have our own Marathi Manus, Madhav Dabke. He's a practicing design thinker and professional IT management consultant. It's a very interesting background about Madhav, that he has both the background from finance and IT. And it's kind of very rare, and I'm really curious to understand how that shaped his thinking process. There is something behind that. So Madhav is actually a postgraduate in management accounting and international economics from Mumbai University. He's certified associate of Indian Institute of Bankers and additional MBA finance. Madhav also holds multiple other professional certificates, and he's a continuous learner. Especially, he was a business banker for over a decade before moving to IT consulting. And as I said, it's kind of very unique to have perspective on those two areas. He manages today large relationships for banking out of Germany. He's based in Germany, as well as manufacturing clients in Europe and North America. So with that, I'll request Madhav to walk us through this very interesting and unique topic called design thinking. Madhav?
Thank you, Samir. Thank you, Avinash. Thank you, Anand. I'm going to structure this next 50 minutes, 60 minutes a little differently. I wanted to make it very interactive. Unfortunately, we are on a webinar, so I can't see you, but I'm going to visualize that you guys are responding to what I'm going to say, and we'll keep it as interactive as possible. I must first thank Garje Marathi Global to give me this opportunity to be here, to be associated with a very proud purpose of existence, and that's a great honor to be here today. Without taking too much of time in introducing many things, I would like to start sharing my presentation. I believe my voice is quite audible. Let me know in case if there are some challenges. Let me just make one small request. I live near a place where I have a fire brigade around me, I have a hospital around me, and a police station around me. So if there are alarms which you hear, don't get nervous. Everything is all right. I'm absolutely fine. Everything is okay. It is just that you might hear those things going around my house. So don't get nervous about it. Let me know if I'm sharing my presentation, if it is visible to all of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is it now visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Visible.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you. I had a choice to even give a title as a design thinking or to give the title a little differently. I chose to say it innovate with human-centered approach because there could be multiple techniques, multiple tools available in the market, and they're all established. So there is nothing like a right or wrong approach. There's nothing like which is good and which is bad. Now, it is a perspective and it is the usage of each tool people would probably like to use and so on. I thought the best way to explain this topic and the whole purpose of today's next 1 hour is going to be looking around what a human-centered approach would mean. And that's why you see on my title, I have not said it is design thinking, but obviously I'm going to talk about design thinking because that is what I practice, that is what I talk, that is what I walk. So I'm just going to go to the I'm just going to just show you how I'm going to structure this. So it is quite distributed on different topics. I'm going to talk about the concept of innovation and then slowly talk about the human-centered design and go toward the process of innovation. I'll give some real life examples and last 10 minutes are for some question and answers. You can post your questions as you listen to me in the chat window and our moderators will help to collate those questions and ask me just to avoid many people talking and asking the questions. And even if we have a time challenge, be assured that this chat comes to me. I will respond to each every question you have asked and you will get a copy of those responses for sure. If not in this 1 hour, you will definitely get those offline. Now let us understand. Let us start with what is design. A lot of people probably confuse this with design means probably a great art or great design or something related to an artist and so on. But that's not true. In next 5 minutes, I believe all of you will understand that each one of you already know design thinking. It is just that we have never cautiously thought about it, that it is a design and it is a human-centered approach. But let me start showing you what comes here around and how am I saying that each one of you are already exposed to these concepts. Now look at this picture. How many of you keep watching televisions other than news and some interesting programs that still are telecasted? If you look at, there's a program called OMG India. That's a very interesting program. I keep looking at those programs. They talk about some grassroots innovations that happen in India all over. Some interesting facts, some interesting persons, and so on. If you just look at this picture, there is this gentleman who converted his scooter, and when I say converted, he still uses this scooter as a mode of transport, and at the same time he used the mechanical part of this scooter, connected it with a belt to a atta chakki, so you can practically take this scooter from houses to houses, from village to village, and can provide you an atta chakki right at a floor mill right at your doorstep. Now this is the design. Look at this picture now. So this is a part of rural innovations or the innovations for masses, where somebody thought there are many women unfortunately across world, but let's limit it to Rajasthan and some of the part of Kutch and the drought prone areas, where women walk all the way few kilometers every single day, bringing water on their head. Now somebody thought, can we help them to reduce a weight on their head and can we facilitate something? And if you see here, a very apt design made by someone where it rests on the shoulder of a lady and it is still held on the head without allowing it to fall. Very innovative design. Look at this picture. Now, this could be a very interesting picture where I was thinking till I looked at this picture that a great coffee with a froth is available only in Cafe Coffee Day or a barista or any of the branded stores. Just look at this picture. It is a pressure cooker, a very simply converted into a steam which can be used without electricity, without any dependency on hanky fanky store, and you can still get a coffee. You can always challenge that, is this something very different? Is this something which is thought through? Is this something which gets into principles of design thinking? And my answer to that will be yes. If you see each of the picture, there is a human need inside any single picture if you see here. Let's take our conversation further. Everything around us is also improved by design. So something is already created and it needs an improvement. Look at this picture. This is a chair. This is a typical office chair. Anyone and everyone of us use this, and nobody thought that it is not a gender neutral product. I never thought it, honestly, till I met a professor in IIM Ahmedabad when I was going through some certification there. And the professor was a lady, and she said, no, I don't use this chair. And she rather preferred a stool. And I was a bit curious. So I started asking her question, why do you think that this chair is not usable to you? Very interestingly, the women who wear saris, this chair becomes an accident prone zone for them because the sari gets stuck into these wheels because these are the rotator wheels, and there is a possibility of somebody falling off or have some wardrobe malfunction. Then I started looking that all chairs are essentially are with chairs or without chair. Is there something different somebody has thought of? I found a very interesting picture. These are the replacement caster wheels. Now, if you see, I'll just go back here. Look at this wheel here, and look at this caster wheel here. So this is covered. It still has a ball bearing at the center, so it still allows to move on a surface, but which helps to prevent sari getting stuck into that chair. So this is an improvement over the design which somebody had already made. So that was a perfectly designed, a very comfortable chair. This is an improvement over that. Look at this matka. This matka, all of us have been looking at it. We have been probably using it for cold water and so on. No electricity required. Very indigenous product. There is a gentleman from Gujarat who thought that if I can use this matka to cool water, can I do something using the same mitti, same soil, and can I help the people in rural area where electricity is a challenge? He came out with a very innovative product, and this product which you are going to see next has been awarded multiple innovation awards. Look at this. This is nothing but just a matka in a different shape. This is called Mitti Cool. Out of your academic interest, you may want to look at this design on Google. You can read about it. And this Mansukh Bhai has been awarded multiple awards for this innovation. Of course, it has limitations. It may not make your ice cream. It may not allow you to deep freeze something, but it serves the purpose of keeping vegetables, fruit, your daily use as cold as possible in the refrigerator in a controlled temperature. Now look at this. All of us have used these kind of sanitizers all in our offices, at airports, at various places. The corona event has caused people to think. So whenever there is a human need, people start thinking, can we do it differently? And you would have seen, just look at the next picture. If you see this, these are the foot operated sanitizer dispensers. And suddenly, in last few months, I have seen many indigenous people manufacturing this. They are taking this to the market as an innovation. Is this an innovation? By definition, yes. Is this patented? May or may not be. but it is still somebody thought differently, again to respond to the human need. Now, while this is happening in indigenous product, let's look at what is there in some of the international products. Traditionally, our ketchup bottle was this. At least when I was a child, I always looked at the ketchup bottle like this bottle, which is a vertical glass bottle, and I used to always keep it like this. If you see it now, most of the ketchup bottles, you would see they are upside down. So it is just not glass changed into plastic. It is also designed to stand upside down vertically, so that when the ketchup starts getting consumed, it comes three-fourth, half, one-fourth. You don't have to really use force to get the ketchup out. It is naturally because of the gravitational force. You can use this without much of a force required. Most of us have used a spectacle someday. Now, typically, when I say how a spectacle look like, you will see there are glasses, then there is a rim, then on the rim you have those holders which you can use on your ears to hold spectacles. Look at this design. This product is called Thin Optics, and let me tell you something. Yeah, I'm not a ambassador, brand ambassador of any of the products. So I'm not promoting Hanes or I'm not promoting Thin Optics, but these are very appropriate designs which I thought it could be very interesting to show. They have challenged the entire concept of spectacle. This is just a glass, absolutely thin. I myself have used this. I have it at my home. It goes into money purse. It sticks to the phone. You can actually, it has a glue behind this case. It sticks to the phone and it just goes with you. So this is a very innovative design. And now look at this. This is a travel iron. So earlier, traditionally we have those irons which are quite big. Porting them in your travel bag is a challenge. Then somebody thought, let me make it smaller. It became smaller. Then somebody said, let me have a foldable handle. Foldable handle came in. And now today, this is one of the product which actually folds and becomes a smaller device than a phone, but it has a Teflon coating. You can actually use this in whichever way you want. And you can notice here, it has those temperature controls and everything. So if you see this, if these are the designs and these are responding to various human needs, and if you notice this and if you are aware about this, I can guarantee you all of you already know about design thinking. So what are we going to do is only understand the structured approach to this techniques. We are going to understand how this is applicable in multiple industries. So be it a process industry, be it a product industry, be it technology, be it anything, and how are we going to use these techniques to scientifically develop innovations that will respond to human beings and how they can be human-centered designs. I will go next. If we believe that these are the products we have seen around you, what does the innovation in everyday term means? It can be just a new idea, or it can be a new device, or it can be a new method of doing things. It essentially has an underlying unarticulated need. If I tell you an example where we looked at scooter powered flour mill, there was no need, anybody said that come home with a scooter and an atta chakki on it and give me my flour right at my doorstep. Unarticulated need for probably the gentleman could be he noticed that people cannot come out of home, or they might have to walk far before they can get their atta done. Instead, why can't I do something? Why can't I use my mechanical device which I already have, build on that, and go to the customers rather than customers coming to me? So there is an unarticulated need which is fulfilled by he doing so. These are the desirable products. Are all products desirable? Maybe yes, maybe no. But look at the spectacle example, or look at the travel iron. For the people like me who travel day in, day out, we have that internal desire that can I have a product which I can carry very easily with me? Can I have a product which is as efficient as any traditional product? There has to be a desirability behind it. Services, when we talk about products, this is also applicable to services. And services are obviously improvised every single day with a technology, with a lot of new things coming in. There is a service innovation which is also expected. Those who are in service industry will agree with me. I'm going to give some examples as I go forward. But appealing services can also be one of the form of innovation. But remember, this is different than invention. I'm going to list down some subtle difference. Invention is always a novel idea or it is a novel concept. If I give you an example, a telephone when invented for the first time, and that is why we call when it was invented, that was an invention. But after that, if a telephone changed its forms from the desktop phone to handheld wireless phone to mobile phone and to any other satellite phone and so on, that becomes an improvement over already available idea in the market. Okay, so invention is a novel idea which happens for the first time. Innovation is always an improvement over what is already in existence. Invention is typically driven by curiosity. Take an example of Wright brothers. They had a curiosity, can a man or a human being fly? And they invented an aircraft. Now, aircraft made by Wright brothers was an invention. But if you see today, you might have Boeing 747, 787, Airbus 380. These are all innovations and that are driven by the desire to fly many more people, and can they fly in a much cheaper cost is always a driving factor in an airline industry, and it is applicable to any industry, any product, any services. uh, Invention will typically need a scientific skills where somebody has to really be deep into those skills which are required to invent a product. In case of innovation, while scientific skills could be available in the market, what is most important for innovator is also to understand what are the trends that are in market, what are the changing needs of the consumers, customers, your end users, and so on. And that is what drives innovation. If you look at how we say that invention is a successful, so merit of uniqueness in that invention we decide the success of invention. But in case of innovation, most likely merit is driven more by measurable profitability or number of times it gets deployed and so on. So that is what drives a success of innovation in terms of the measurement. I will move to the next slide. I'll take a little pause here, just a fact check. Is my pace okay? Is my voice okay? Do you think that I should be doing something different?
I think you're okay. Madhav, I think you're okay. That is my opinion, but anybody else has any other opinion, one can express that.
Anandji, it is perfect actually. Madhav, you're doing good. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I'll move to the next slide. When we talk about ideas, okay, there is a very interesting data which says that 8 out of 10 ideas fail. And does it stop from generating ideas? It doesn't stop from generating ideas. People still go on ideating, people still go on finding new ideas. But there is a very interesting insight. What are the ideas which fail? And 80% failure rate is a very high rate. But we don't have to be nervous about it, because if we look at what causes ideas to fail, let's look at this graph. Okay? So main reason, when idea is far from customers. So I have a great idea and I don't have a customer. There is a very high possibility that I might innovate something, or I might even invent something, but it is not going to be usable by anybody. There is a possibility that it will fail. If I look at another point, why ideas fail, no real differentiator. And I'll give you a very simple example which you can correlate in current time. Masks are produced left, right, center by everywhere, anywhere, and you see them around. Now, people who are coming out with this mask, or people who are coming out with any of the sanitizers and which is required in the current tough time, they can't be really called as a great successful idea. So they may make some business. There will always be a profit behind it, but there is no real differentiator behind it. And that's why that doesn't stand out from one product to another product. But then when I was looking at an interesting site called Indiegogo, that's a site which I keep referring for new products that are being launched. I saw a very differentiated mask whereby that mask is transparent and that still shows your face. So the idea differentiator in that mask versus any other mask which are available in the market, once you wear the mask, you only see somebody's eyes and maybe a forehead. And you don't really, a person smiling at you, you don't really see those emotions coming out of a human being when you interact. This mask is a complete transparent mask. That could be a real differentiator. I'm just giving you an example why differentiator is important for making idea succeed. If you look at another point, there is a lot of times a product is really good, a service is really good, but people are not able to manage perception of their consumers and they are not able to communicate the real value behind that idea, behind that product, or behind that service. That is another contributor why ideas fail. Next point is if your product is for a large consumers or for mass as a community, are you making them feeling excited about it? Even if I remove word community, let us see what is exciting when iPhone is announced a next version. Apple comes out and say, guys, I'm announcing a next phone. There is always some excitement factor out there. And that excitement factor makes people stand in the queue overnight and just be there in the store as first as possible. Now that excitement is applicable to any innovation, any idea that can be taken to any community. And that is why non-exciting idea would likely to fail. And last is while you may have all other four factors right, there is no profitable business case behind that idea. So people come out with the great ideas, but finally it doesn't have a ability to convert into a commercially viable idea. It doesn't have an ability to generate money out of it, and those ideas as well fail. And that is where if you see the data says that very high number of ideas are likely to fail, but it doesn't stop from people to succeed. I was reading one story very interestingly. There is a story which I probably heard from my grandmother, or I don't remember, but it's a childhood story. There is a stone and there is a stone cutter, and the stone cutter keeps blowing at stone. It is 100 times blow, and the stone doesn't just crack. It is 101st blow which cracks that stone. And then somebody says, yeah, but then you know what? It is 101st blow which cracked. So all other previous 100 are waste. And there was a very interesting answer given by a stonecutter. No, 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 it is not waste. It is because of those 100 blows which help the 101st to crack the stone. So it's similar rule applicable to the ideas. As many ideas you generate, even if there are 8 failed ideas, always remember there are 2 ideas which are likely to succeed. So for you to succeed on those 2 ideas, you need to have probably those 8 failed ideas. Okay, and that's the only key message from this slide which I wanted to give. I'll take the conversation to the next level. In 2015, there was some data published. Some of the companies have human-centric approach in their DNA, and this is an organizational DNA, which is extremely important. The companies like Apple, companies like IBM, Coca-Cola, Whirlpool, so whichever companies which are design managed companies, and in this reason I'm saying design, again you have seen design means not a design drawn on paper. It is a design which is applicable and how people see from their perspective. Those companies outperformed by 211%. This is a 2015 data, of course, but then I have a reason to believe that every single year these companies must be outperforming their competitors. And the reason why I showed this data to you, it is just to tell you the importance of how design is important for any company, any business, any service, any policy, anything which we see around us is important for us, and why we should embrace those changes. And that is why these numbers talk about it. Let us move next. Now let us introduce what a design thinking means, because I have been talking about design, I have been talking about human-centric approach and so on. David Kelly is a gentleman who is a Stanford scholar. While design thinking as a concept has been there around for last probably over 50 years, 60 years. But in 1991, he started a design company called IDEO. You can search for IDEO after this conversation, and you will be amazed that this company helps many Fortune 500 companies to design their products, to design their services. They are into a high-end designing to probably a grassroots level designing and so on. But the concept is more popularized, and I can personally say that David Kelly is one of the person who can be attributed this success to. It is a systematic approach to think and apply techniques. So when now you can look at the two words, design thinking. So one part is the design, another part is the thinking part of it. And if you can apply this thinking systematically, apply the techniques which are used in design, you can look at applying design thinking to your solutions. And at most importantly, every business problem is a human problem. So I quite a few times get interaction with some of the people who deal with only B2B business. Whatever examples I've given you, probably it has a retail customer involved in it, be it the ketchup or be it the chair, be it anything. So these B2B business entrepreneurs or the managers, they speak to me saying, yeah, but you know what? I deal only business to business. But then I need to remind them that business is nothing but finally a human being sitting behind that desk who is going to make your decision. And that is the reason, even it is a business problem, it can be very well converted into human problem. And if you find a solution for that human problem, your business problem also essentially gets solved. Okay, I'll move to the next slide. What does it mean? Then how do we approach it? So I'm slowly going to go towards how design thinking is structured, what are the components, how will you probably look at it, and how can it be used. Let me tell you that creative approach for problem solving is very important. I give you some examples now when I talk about it. Process that starts and ends with the people is the key. And I don't mean to offend any authority. I don't mean to point at uh, anything which is happening around. But let me give you an example of this evacuations flight, which probably we have been running, and all of us. And I'm trying to find out the examples which are just around us in these days, so that the recall will be very fast. There are these evacuation flights which started from all over the countries, taking our citizens to India. Now look at why I'm saying that it is important for even the process or even the authorities to look at starting with people and ending with people, because it is important element which is missed many of the times. If I tell you the flights which are landing from say Germany to India had a baggage allowance of 23 into 2, so 46 kgs of baggage allowance taken to India, and that flight terminates. Then people who arrived in, say, for example, Delhi or Bangalore, they have a feeder flights which go from that location to their hometown. Now that is a separate PNR. So those who have been traveling, those who are aware about this conversation, in terms of there is a PNR number attached to your travel. The PNRs are different for an international ticket and an Indian ticket, because there were two separate flights that were booked. People to take their 46 kg of allowance from the feeder flight was a problem, because domestic flight baggage policy was only 15 kg, and a lot of people ended paying up hefty 25,000 30,000 rupees because they cannot throw the luggage, and they never thought about it. Thankfully, when I observed this problem, I reported this to a consulate office in Frankfurt, and the consulate general then was a very kind lady. She immediately communicated this to Air India, And Air India came out with a change in their approach, saying that if you have arrived on an evacuation flight, your same baggage allowance will be protected even for your feeder flight. And then it becomes a process which is a human-centric process. Nobody had thought it because Air India had its own policy. Domestic air carriers had their own policies. Nobody thought end to end, and nobody thought it is the people who are going to be traveled from one place to another place. I will move conversation to next. I'm also looking at being cognizant of time. These most of the designs when are human centered are very tailor made to suit their needs, and that is why they are more successful, they are more acceptable, and they aim to solve the problem rather than just saying that this is the product or this is the process available. Let us look at some interesting phases how a design thinking helps through do a structured process of innovation. I'm going to use some example. This is a very popular example. So I know today I have a lot of scholars from design thinking in this call, and they would appreciate, while there could be many other examples, this is one of the very popular example used to explain the problem and how people overcame it. I'm going to use the same example. There are three phases, three components and five phases in overall design thinking. The first is understand. Empathy is a very important factor when it comes to understanding the problem. What an empathy would mean? Listen to the story of your end user, listen to the story of your customer, or listen to the story of whoever you are going to give your product or going to be a recipient of service. Let them say what they are looking for, observe what they do, understand what they think, and finally what they feel when they consume this product or service. And then we move to the next phase called define phase. In define phase, let us look at this example here. There was a challenge which a typical Stanford people undergo for an extreme innovation. This is an incubator, and they were given a challenge to bring the cost to 1% of any cost that is associated with this incubator. So people started, and they started finding an alternate material, alternate way of designing this product to bring cost to the 1%. Some of them went to Nepal and some neighboring countries to find out what is the problem. Why is that this incubator need to be cheap and so on? They started getting into more conversations. That more conversations led them to the insights. And the way those insights came in is by looking at the problem statement. When they spoke to the mothers, when they spoke to the hospitals, the real problem was not to bring the cost down of incubator, but the real problems was babies were not able to reach to hospital to consume that incubator. So they started ideating and what could probably make that cheaper or that can be taken to the home and so on. The ideation is a typical phase where people are expected to come together. People are going to build on each other's ideas. People are allowed to talk any wild ideas. People are expected to give whatever that comes to their mind, draw it, make them understand, don't discourage anybody from talking and so on. And by doing a lot of such iteratives and ideation discussions, this team came out with a very interesting prototype, which is a next phase in design thinking to deliver finally the solution. Look at this. Now, what was a traditional?
Hello.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir. Screen is not visible, sir.
Sorry.
Sir. Screen is not visible, sir.
Okay.
Problem
so let me stop
have to log out and log in.
I'm going to share content
yes.
again.
No, the screen is visible. Hello, just a minute. Maybe problem at your end. Madhav, please continue.
Yeah. Okay. So if you just look at this example here, what was deemed to be an incubator traditionally, it even exists today in hospital. It is still exists to be in hospital today. But the first prototype which team built was something like a portable pouch which will keep the early born premature babies warm. and this is how a prototype look like. But interestingly, not many mothers welcome this because it looks like more like a carrying bag, and they never wanted their babies to be carried in this pouch. There were again interactions, there were all iterations done, and if you very interestingly see today, there is an organization called Embrace Innovations. So this was the team which was responsible to design this, and when they tested and then did all these iterations, the entire 5 phases led into them to a reality, and this is the product today which is available in the market. So this is sold for profit, this is distributed for non-profit purpose. And interestingly, even in India, there are a lot of gram panchayats, a lot of villages, or a lot of those healthcare centers would have this kind of product. So this has helped to save over 300,000 babies annually, uh, for premature babies to be carried from their birthplace to the bigger hospitals. So what I wanted to essentially show you here very quickly, so I know this is very rushed conversation, but what a problem could look like initially. So problem which was supposed to be change the cost to 1% suddenly became a problem of saving babies, and the outcome was completely different. So that gives us a constructs of design thinking. There are three constructs here. So desirability is part which is connected with the emotional or a behavioral part of human beings, and unless you really know what the emotional part is going to be for your product or process, it is going to be very difficult for you to go to the next phase. So design thinking starts with desirability part of it. Then obviously the desirability in my previous example was to save babies and to rush them to hospital. And what do you do during that period of getting them from home or small villages to the larger hospitals? That was the desirability part. The technical part is nothing but a feasibility. So how far it is feasible? So can we make really that big incubator look like a small incubator? Is it going to be portable? Is it not going to be portable? And so on. That is a part of the technical feasibility. And then probably making that viable. So 1% cost was the challenge. Is it practically possible? And if you see here, this interchanging, so this part here is the successful innovation. So any product, any process, anything which is called successful innovation only when it is in this zone. So it has a right desirability validated through feasibilities and making it a very viable proposition becomes a successful innovation. I'm going to go to the next slide. This is a different forms of innovations which you will keep seeing around you. So products, I have already shown some of the products which are available from an innovation processes. I would probably give you two examples here because I come from a banking background. This know your customer is always a process which is tedious. Unfortunately, in this COVID scene, people have not been able to complete their KYC with banks. Banks have sent them a notice saying that, sorry, you have not shown up, you have not fulfilled your KYC, and your accounts are blocked. Now, this is very, very irritating at this point of time that while I want to go to the branch, I can't go to the branch. Branch is not operating or it is not operating at its full strength and so on. So can I build an innovation in the process? So the simplest way of this process could be, and some of the banks have changed this process. Some of the banks are in a process to do that. If I get a simple SMS or if I get a simple mail where bank says that Mr. Madhav Dabke, details with our record is one, this is your name, this is your PAN number, this is your address, this is your email ID, this is your phone number. Do you confirm this with us? A simple reply to that process to say yes could probably complete my KYC with the bank. But why this is not done or why this was not thought so far? Because when these processes were designed, these were designed keeping systems in mind. They never thought about the people in center. It was a system which there was a book, a rule book which said for KYC, person has to give a copy of address proof, copy of a phone bill or electricity bill, then Aadhaar card, whatnot, or passport copy, anything. Nobody thought that there could be a different way of innovating this process. I'll give you another example, and that's very relevant. There is a Pav Bhaji center in Pune on JM Road. They came out with a very interesting process when we went there for the first time. That center is small, they have a limitation of space. But so the only way you can get into that restaurant is you have to send an SMS to their phone number. They will reply to you instantaneously. It is all automated. This is your token number and likely time for you to arrive there. And you can arrive there only 15 minutes before that. Now, this is a table booking process without calling them, without going and standing outside the restaurant to wait when is you are going to be turned to get into a center and so on. That's a very innovative process. Service innovations, in last webinar, we heard IoT, used of chatbots and so other thing. I can give you a very simple example of service innovation. There's a data which says there are likely possibility of 89 to 90% customers are going to stop doing business with you if you don't provide right level of services to them. And that is reason why service innovation is important. I visited one of the hotels few years back. Even today on my birthday, even today on my marriage anniversary, I get a handwritten, hand signed letter from the owners just to wish me. And I trust me, I've not gone back to hotel in 5 years. Not that I didn't like it. It is just that I've already been to that place and I never wanted to go back to that place. And but there is a very high possibility that this keeps reminding me every year at least twice that they respect that service, and that's could be a very innovative service delivery. Technologies, I don't need to talk about it. We are going to hear it in next 17, 18 sessions, all webinars. There are innovative technologies which come every single day. Business models, one interesting business model, innovation. There is a restaurant in Gujarat which is driven more by volunteers than of a staff. So they expect volunteers to come and cook. If I am going to be a great cook in making some kind of a sabji, they allow me to come to their restaurant and cook it for the entire people there who are visiting the restaurant. And because it is more operated by volunteers, they don't have a menu card. They don't have a fixed fee for menu. It is pay as you like. So they have just kept a jar, and you don't have to declare who are you and how much you have paid. You have to just drop a money into that jar, and they have seen people have paid much more than a la carte menu by which people would have paid. So it's a complete innovative business model, and they're running it. That was also shown on Oh My God India, so OMG India episode, and that's very interesting way of looking at innovation in business models. That brings us to a very interesting fact today. Um, don't get nervous with this. Whatever is that IWW, that is just. Let me tell you what does this mean. It means your customers are asking you, I want what I want, where I want, and when I want. Now, if this is what your customers are going to demand, that means you have to be always innovative. You have to be always looking at what is going to happen next, and you have to be always ready to serve those customers. And those customers are again human beings, so don't forget that is why human-centric approach will be required every single now and then. And I'm going to rush through this good kitchen story. In Denmark, there are old age homes. There are about 125,000 senior citizens which get meals sponsored by their government. 60% of those old age people live in an assisted facility. 20% are malnutrition, and 100% of them get the same food from public kitchen. They very interestingly came out to the fact that why the food is rejected despite of being supplied from a very good kitchen, and why it is being rejected, why it is wasted, and so on. When they did this deep diving using design thinking techniques, they came out with a very interesting insights. So when they did an empathy phase with their kitchen staff, delivery staff, and senior citizens, they realized that kitchen staff feel like they are cook, and they don't take a pride. They look like I'm just one cook in this kitchen. Delivery staff never take a pride in saying that I'm feeding 125,000 senior citizens, and senior citizens themselves never thought they are getting good food despite of the fact that it was a controlled quality food. When they went ahead defining the real problem, they found that kitchen staff is not motivated enough. So while their skills and their ability to make food was really good, they never made it with their heart. Delivery staff never thought they were just doing like a delivery of a parcel or a post, and the real problem was found that that needs to be changed. They did a lot of ideation to find out what could it happen, and knowing that all senior citizens may not need the same food, knowing that their nutrition requirements could be different, they came out with a menu card like a concept. They converted their public kitchen into the good kitchen named restaurant, and all cooks were started referring as chef. And then suddenly their motivation levels went up. Senior citizens could then order from a menu card. Of course, there is a controlled menu card what they get. It's not like free choices, but they still had a choice. The delivery boy started taking lot of they took a lot of pride in saying that I am now helping 125,000 senior citizens to get a great food from my restaurant. And they came out with a different styling, different packing, different menu options, and the results were very evident. They started getting within the first month 500% more orders, more than 600, 700 new senior citizens enrolled for that service. And that becomes a service innovation. Why I wanted to show you this example is it's just not about product. Design thinking techniques can be applicable to any of things which are around us. Typically, it helps when the problems are ill-defined. Designers want to reinterpret the problem. If you go back to the example which I showed you about the incubator, the initial problem statement was, can I bring the cost down to 1%? Change to the a new problem statement called, can I help baby survive? And got a completely new result, new solution, new outcome. When the focus is on the solutions of a redefined problems rather than just looking at what was the problem statement when they started their engagement, and end user is a paramount importance in terms of the solution which you have defined and delivered. This is something another example. I'm going to rush through. I know I'm taking a time, but this is a typical MRI machine GE had designed. A lot of people get scared with this. Children get scared even more. And this is an experience example which I wanted to show you. When GE people thought that this is not helping children and making it probably use sedatives before they can enter this, they went to schools, they went to Walt Disney's, and they came out with a great design. This is how their new series of machines look like. So it becomes a completely changed experience where children are treated like a captain of a ship. This is their submarines. They get children into the submarines. They travel through the MRI machine. So the innovation did not happen around the machine or the technology. It is just an experience which changed the overall innovation and the thinking for those children. And there are some examples. Keep the change is a great example of how an innovation can help banks. Typically, if my credit card swipe is, say, for example, 10 euro 15 cents, will I ever care if that remaining 85 cents are transferred to my child's account or if that is transferred to my spouse account? American Express, just to name, came out with a very innovative product called Keep the Change. They got customers signed up to allow those rounding of figures to be translated into another account, which becomes a forced saving for their spouses or for their children. Is yet another example where design thinking helped. ATMs now speak your language. So essentially all ATMs based on geographies give an option of selecting language. Is also an outcome of interacting with people, speaking to human beings, finding out what they are comfortable with. Um, those who have a newer car, you will see a visual climate control. So I have a Zen, which is still a manual visual climate control, where I have only probably a switch where I change from hot to cold and cold to hot. But a new car, when you turn the wheel, it visually shows in a blue color for a cold and a red color for hot climate control in the car. And this is one of the very interesting example where you reach to the emergency wards in hospital. what is easy? Easy is to ask where is my cardiac emergency ward, or if a line which is drawn from the entrance of the hospital, and you have to just follow that line which is painted with hearts all over, getting you straight to the emergency cardiac ward. So I'm just giving you one more example here. And last, coming to the last slide here, that how are we as GMG going to help you in this entire process? So we have a very interesting design thinking professionals which are part of our GMG. Why we wanted to conduct these sessions, and there are remaining sessions which are designed, as Avinash said in the beginning, we are there to help you. So if you have an idea, if you want to probably validate your ideas using design thinking process, reach out to any one of our mentors. They will help you to validate your ideas using a human aspect. If you want to have ideation process done, invite mentors who can be part of your team. They can help you, they can guide your teams. And then finally, if you want us to help you from a structured innovation perspective, or even set up an innovation lab, we have very able personalities in this call today who can help you. They do it today. They will be more than happy to do it for you. I'm going to take a pause here. I'm going to stop my screen. So I'm probably done with what I wanted to show you today, and over to questions now. I've not looked at the chat window, but I'll take a pause.
So, Madhav, thank you so much. It feels like it's a lot of common sense, but as we know, common sense is not that common. And that's why having this kind of thought process constantly back of our mind is absolutely key, because everybody is innovator, but everybody can keep focus on improvising things. I like your example, especially on the mask. I thought I never thought about it, and it's happening around us every day. So appreciate it. I don't think we have enough time for Q&A at this point, given that there are two other things that Anand you wanted to achieve. Can you confirm?
Yes, I confirm. I confirm. You can ask one question or two questions, then I can take over as it is. Anyway, can I take over, or you want to ask a question? There is some question.
No, Anand, what I suggest is apologies for overrunning time, but then
no
I will answer all questions. If you can send me the chat to my mail, and I will respond to individually.
Okay. Let me take over. Let me take over. Thank you very much, Madhav. It was an extremely good presentation, and that is really a food for thought. Today we were to have Sri Ajit Jaukar from London, who is professor in Oxford, to talk about a successful program run by Garje Marathi with his guidance in mentoring in AI. But somehow we have lost him because he had to. We went off the conversation because he had another meeting at exactly on the dot of an hour. So he went, but he will present his cases and his case study next week. I want to tell all participants, I want to thank all participants and all attendees. 36 of them have filled in a Google form before this meeting. That form, as well as the questions in chat, will be answered directly to each one of them. Our next webinar, which is on next Saturday, is on 5G and its innovation by Samir Sakpal, which is also very important webinar. I request all of you to attend. And that is all I want to say. Thank you very much, Madhav. Thank you very much, everybody who have joined today. Over to Avinash to give his concluding remarks.
Thanks, Anandji, and thanks, Madhav. Exciting, very exciting webinar. I think a lot of good examples you have given. I could relate very straightforward to examples which are related to incubator and MRI machines. That was my past experience as well. And I think our series also is going to be in the direction. Last time we went through IoT experience. Now we went through design thinking experience, and now we have next webinar, which is lined up on 5G and new opportunities, which is mainly on the infrastructure of IoT. So very much looking forward. I wish to see more participants coming through next and take the advantage of this webinar series as we go forward. Right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much again, and have a great weekend and safe weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we conclude, I would request everybody to take this to your alma mater, to your network, that what Garje Marathi is doing, so that we can reach out to many students. Thank you very much. I am ending the meeting now. Thanks a lot, everybody. Namaste.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Madhav.
Thank you. Thank you.